Education officials raise awareness on new online system for school leavers. New Ireland governor celebrates 50 years in politics. And Defence beat Royals to claim NCD Rugby Union competition.
This is National EMTV News with Neville Choi.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Sunday's news. Officers from the Department of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology are visiting schools to raise awareness on the National Application Online System, or NAOS. NAOS will replace the paper-based Grade 12 student leaver forms. Kupiano Secondary School in the Central Province was the 10th school visited by department officials. The visit on Friday gave students and staff the opportunity to ask questions about the new system.
A team of 12 representatives from Dehurst visited Kupiano Secondary School in Abao District on Friday to do awareness on the National Application Online System. With the national grade 12 exams right around the corner, it was imperative that the students understood how the new system worked. The National Application Online System gives school leavers 5 choices of the courses of the tertiary institutions they want to study at. Applications are now open, and Dehurst is expecting applications from 28,000 students this year.
28,000, so this is the kind of number that's coming from 171 schools. So this is the kind of number of students that we are expecting across the country to sit for the exam, and you will be exercising this online application.
Every grade 12 student will receive an invitation letter from the department containing their login details for their account. With these details, students can log in and fill out the application. All students must remember that their subject combination is vital. When results are out, a grace period of 3 to 7 days will be given to the students who want to change their choice depending on their exam results. After that, the selection process begins and students will receive their placing. Many students asked questions and received substantial answers from the team. Lena Moses, who wants to study journalism at Divine Word University, is looking forward to using this new system.
And I am very excited because I am the first pioneer, like Mr. Bune has mentioned, and I am happy that the online selection will give me more chances to get into the tertiary institutions.
Dehurst provided statistics showing that out of 81 grade 12 students from Kupiano Secondary who sat for the national exams in 2015, 7 were selected. In 2016, 9 students out of 72 were selected. And in 2017, when the system was introduced, 20 out of 84 students were selected.
A lot of eligible students have been pushed out. And with this, I am quite confident that most of our eligible students will get through.
Lilian Sopera Kinea, National EMTV News.
22 secondary school teachers in Port Moresby have completed a week-long workshop on the use of the internet to help prepare their lessons. Helen Margis, who teaches information technology at Marianville Secondary, says the workshop promotes innovation technology.
The 22 participants who underwent the training include teachers from De La Salle, Gordon's and Girls Secondary Schools, and Sagari National High.
We are using internet here now, and we have Wi-Fi here, and what they have learned will be very useful to the students in their teaching, particularly in the classrooms or when they take them up for IT lessons up there. Okay.
Held at Marianville Secondary outside Port Moresby, the workshop was described as beneficial. It comes at a time when there is an increase in the number of secondary students using ICT for research purposes. The workshop, which began on July 23rd, was facilitated by 5 volunteers from Alcob, based in South Korea. Ellen Magis, an ICT teacher, says during the workshop, teachers shared ideas and planned to use most of what they learn in their lesson preparations.
They're coming to us really from novel engineering, which is encouraging young minds to try to be engineers at a younger age, and especially coming to Marineville, an all-girls school, and engineering is really seen as a man's job. And I hope as a teacher, I will encourage girls to dream big and hopefully become engineers in future.
These teachers who specialize in teaching other subjects apart from IT were given a chance to learn and improve their way of teaching using the innovative technology. Tekla Gunga, National MTV News.
Grade 12 students throughout the country will sit for their written expression examination tomorrow. An estimated 200,000 grade 12 students are expected to sit for the exam. Marineville School Principal Monica Kianga says English teachers have been preparing the students well, and the school is hoping for better results. This year's topic is hosting the 2018 APEC Leaders Summit in Papua New Guinea.
Marineville has always upheld its standard in terms of classroom teaching and the students' behavior, and I don't see it any difference from the previous years. Right? And when Sister Angela was here, and I think the teachers here, the same group of teachers, and will uphold what Marineville has always said. Okay. I think we have done very well in the previous years, and we've been fortunate to have a group of teachers that have been here year after year, and this year I don't see it any difference too.
For the past 4 years, Education Pacific Agency has been providing an avenue for individuals who want to achieve their dreams through education. EPA arranges scholarships for students who want to do a postgraduate, master's, or PhD in China. Director and founder of Education Pacific Agency, Jeffers Heptol, believes the education on offer will improve one's future ambitions.
Director and founder of Education Pacific Agency, Jeffers Heptol, has been living in China for 13 years. For the past 4 years, he has been helping students from the Pacific Islands, Africa, and the Middle East who want to study in China by arranging and securing scholarships for them.
Also live a good life as well. That's our vision. And our mission is to provide a platform for young people who are denied of education, accessing education. We want to give them a platform so that they also can able to come and study and find a good job and work and have a good life as well.
So far, about 200 students are engaged in this program. Amanda Tracy Kulara is one of the students who just returned from China after completing her 2-year master's in business administration. She told MTV News that she was grateful for such an opportunity and was proud to be part of the team.
Just like that, education is a need. But when we say no to our kids to access education, it's just like we are blocking their nostrils for them to breathe, for them to have a good life. Education is a need for them. So with that, we have a platform for grade 10 students to even apply and do a foundation year as well.
EPA not only helps students who want to go for further studies, but also provides a platform for grade 10 students. Mr. Heptol believes that to change a society is to change a generation, and to change a generation is by means of accessing education for all young people in this generation.
Come and get information, our information at BTA Waigani market here, and they can ask for Stephen Thomas. Stephen Thomas will give the information to them, and they can email to us or...
Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National MTV News.
You're with National MTV News. We go for a break now, but among stories after it, former Prime Minister and New Ireland Governor Sir Julius Chan celebrates 50 years in politics. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. One of Papua New Guinea's founding fathers and longest-serving politicians, Sir Julius Chan, recently celebrated 50 years in politics. June 4th this year marked 50 years of politics for the New Ireland governor. He is still active since he first started out in 1968. Enga Governor Sir Peter Ipatas and other members of Parliament acknowledged the contributions of the former Prime Minister at the recent New Ireland Day celebrations in Caveng Town.
Politics.
Sir Julius Chan began his political career in 1968, June 4th. In the pre-independence National Assembly, he was elected to represent the Martinite district of New Ireland Province and was re-elected in 1972, 1977, 1982, 1987 and 1992. He was Deputy Prime Minister 4 times and Minister of Finance twice. He first became the Prime Minister in 1980, succeeding PNG's first Prime Minister, Grand Chief Sir Michael Samare. Governor for Enga, Sir Peter Ipatas, thanks Sir Julius for his service.
Come up 50 years, he established politics on behalf of the people of Enga and of course the country. Congratulations. 50 years service to the people of this country.
Sir Peter also thanks Sir Julius for his contribution to his political career.
Because without Sir Julius, me none of staff governor. Time only been the Prime Minister of the country in 1995. Mr. Council President yet, and making some decision on this time. He making me come up governor belonging the people belonging. He must look somewhere on display intervention belong the Right Honourable Sir Julius.
Sir Julius last year published a book called Playing the Game, based on his political career. Minister for Intergovernment Relations Kevin Yusifu said that only a few politicians can write a book on politics and continue to play the game.
And therefore I recommend one of his books called Playing the Game. You have to read this book because Sir Julius is still playing the game. For many leaders, their books are written when they are already retired from the game. But typical of Sir Julius, as you all know, his book is alive, and he's still alive, and he's still playing the game.
Sir Julius highlighted different political achievements during the celebration.
He was ready for self-government, and that we would be ready for independence soon after. And the world listened. The world agreed. It was a New Islander who was responsible for the creation of the banking, financial and economic systems of our new country. Creating the Central Bank of Papua New Guinea and the Kinan Toya.
Sir Julius said that tough decisions made in the past can be lessons learned for decision-making for the future of PNG.
Country today might learn from the hard decisions we made back then. Our current crisis reminds me of 1994. Perhaps all it requires is the courage to make hard decisions. The same hard decisions we made then.
Adelaide Kari, National MTV News.
The decommissioned naval vessel HMPHS Rabaul will be replaced by a bigger naval ship, the Guardian-class patrol boat New Ship Ted Diro. PNGDF Chief of Staff Captain Philip Polewara says while those who had served on Rabaul treasure their experiences, it is time to move on to new challenges. Meanwhile, Rabaul's commanding officer, Captain Roboam Hosea, and his crew will travel to Australia for further training. They will return with the ship replacing Rabaul, new ship Ted Diro, once they complete their training.
As we all prepare to move on to new challenges, I know that, especially for the ship's company, the decommissioning crew right here with me, you will always treasure your memories of HMPNGS Rabaul. However, we do not live in history. We will live in the future. Rabaul is now part of our history. While we will miss HMPNGS Rabaul, we must not let emotions cloud the bright future for the PNGDF maritime element or stand in the way of progress. We must let go of the past. The ship that replaces HMPNGS Rabaul, new ship Ted Diro, is much larger and has greatly increased advanced capabilities. We all must now look forward to the new dawn of the Guardian era. Farewell. Goodbye, Rabaul.
The PNG Tertiary Students Christian Fellowship Graduates Network Port Moresby chapter, in partnership with the NID office, rolled out the NID registration program yesterday at Bible Translators Association in Waigani, Port Moresby. Over 59 graduates came with their families to fill out the applications and have their fingerprints processed. PNG TSCF Graduates Network is encouraging other Christian organizations to also partner with NID to get as many people in PNG registered.
The Port Moresby chapter of the PNG TSCF Graduates Network partnered with the National Identification Office to register the graduates and their families living in Port Moresby.
So I think it's important for TSCF not only believers but professionals who understand the significance of the process and to partner with NID because when a professional and believers take lead, it removes the misunderstanding that some church members have on the process.
Their vision is to positively influence PNG through a Christian professional network, and such activities encourage that.
I would say to the church is that national identification program or having the members of citizens registered in a common database is very important for planning and development.
With their vast network of over 80,000 graduates, TSCF believes that they can help the government work with churches to roll out the NID program.
Towards doing that so that at the end of the day the government will be happy and to know that they've registered as much as they can through the church networks that we have around the country.
NID representative Terence Bulingu was more than happy to see such partnership come about and encouraged more of such activities.
Public registrations are people are groups who go to the public and just do registrations in the marketplaces and so forth, etc. You just come forward, see the right guy, the team leader, or just ask for a team to go and register because it is your right to register. And NID is free of charge. It doesn't cost you any money.
The NID office is welcoming help from all organizations and society to partner with them.
We are so excited because also within the NID we have the target to reach, which is 1.5 million by the end of this year. We try to meet the target. So whoever that have an organization and they want to partner with us in any way that they can register their member, we are so willing and we are so happy also to come out. And
Lilian Superakinea, National EMTV News.
Senior members of the Papua New Guinea APEC Authority have visited selected schools in Port Moresby. The visit is an awareness campaign that aims to inform students about the APEC Leaders Summit and the benefits that come along with hosting it. The visits are a bonus for grade 12 students as it strengthens their understanding of APEC, the topic the written expression exam is based on.
The PNG APEC Authority is visiting secondary schools to promote and increase students' understanding of what APEC is and the economic benefits of Papua New Guinea being a member country. PNG APEC Ambassador Ivan Pomaleu visited Gordon Secondary, while PNG APEC Authority Chairman Sir Charles Lepani visited Marinville Secondary on Friday. These visits are the first of its kind for such engagements between students and members of the PNG APEC Authority. During the discussion, the students were told of the economic benefits APEC economies enjoy, the preparations PNG government took towards hosting the summit, and an overview of what is expected during the Leaders' Week. Meanwhile, the third senior officials meeting began in Port Moresby on Saturday with the Women in Agriculture and Fisheries Dialogue, and today the Policy Dialogue on Food Security. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Over 2,000 individuals, including families, turned up for Millen Bay Day at Sir John Guy's Stadium in Port Moresby yesterday. A collaborative effort between the organizing committee and UPNG Millen Bay Students' Union, the day turned out to be a success. Starting at 10 a.m., the program ran till 4 in the afternoon, with various cultural groups and local artists performing. The Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or RSPCA, has received a much-needed blood pressure machine. A joint sponsorship between a Kiwi club and RSPCA supporter, Kirsty Laird, ensured 9,000 kina was raised for the machine. Such generosity from the community and individuals will enable RSPCA to provide quality service for our furry friends. Turning overseas, in Australia, they may have to find a way to eradicate the dengue virus that is transmitted by mosquitoes. In North Queensland town, they have wiped out all dengue mosquitoes and plan to use the same techniques in Pacific countries.
They buzz, they bite, they spread deadly diseases affecting hundreds of millions of people. But now in North Queensland, an entire city's being protected from the potentially lethal mosquito-borne virus, dengue.
If they had dengue, they'll tell you they've never been so sick in their lives. It's been the scourge of North Queensland for 150 years. So to be able to say, we're not having dengue anymore, is just unbelievable.
For 4 years, researchers have been trialling a new method in tropical Townsville, releasing mosquitoes that carry a naturally occurring strain of bacteria which prevents them transmitting viruses. Those mozzies mate with the local ones, effectively replacing the population.
So the way it was done here was simply with little containers or even noodle boxes with some eggs, a bit of fish food and water.
The trial's been called the first citywide success. It's been cost-effective and had community buy-in, and researchers believe their work could stop other mosquito-borne diseases like Zika and malaria. More trials are now underway in 11 other countries. That includes islands in the Pacific prone to outbreaks of dengue. The bacteria-carrying mosquitoes were released in Fiji 2 weeks ago, with Kiribati, Vanuatu and New Caledonia also involved.
This technology will go around the world and it will save many lives. It's huge.
And it's not the only mosquito experiment being hailed a success in North Queensland. Last month, Australian scientists wiped out more than 80% of dengue fever spreading mosquitoes in one town by making the males sterile.
We released about 3 million males. Okay, to do that we had to make about 9 million mosquitoes and then separate the males from the females through some really interesting technology that the Fairly Debug Group had put together.
Science providing hope for a future where the mozzie's irritating bite won't have devastating effects.
You're with National EMTV News. We'll continue with stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Continuing overseas, Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has announced a $210 million rescue package for drought-hit farmers. The big dry has left many producers worrying about Australia's food security and finance, but farmers are refusing to give up.
The so-called lucky country is in dire need of a change of fortune. No rain, no crop. It's taking its toll.
It's like going to work every day and not being paid. It's actually costing you money to go to work.
The Webber family from Walgett has virtually been unemployed for 6 years. They have photos to remember the good times. Their 8,000-hectare property in full bloom. They've farmed canola, wheat and barley. Now it's a dust bowl.
Honestly, I think we've gone past the numb stage. We've gone past the crying stage and now we're just rolling with it.
4 generations of the Webbers have toiled this land since 1927. This year, yet again, has been a write-off. And their saviour is simple: rain.
We won't get an income until December 2019, all going well, if we get a crop in next year.
Typically, this property on the outskirts of Walgett can produce enough grain to supply an entire suburb of Sydney for 12 months. That hasn't been the case for the last 6 years, and you can see why. It is bone dry.
If you go back and look at rainfall records at Walgett over the last 140 or 50 years, this is as dry as Europeans have seen it.
The Webbers had a plan B, stocking sheep on the property and keeping them alive on the faba beans salvaged from their drought-ravaged crops. Now that's all but gone.
We're not 50 millimetres or 100 millimetres. We're 200, 300, 400 millimetres of rain away from saying this drought's come to an end.
With more dry weather on the horizon, the drought will continue to hurt. But the Webbers say it will not break them.
Hundreds of firefighters are battling fires in South Portugal as fires continue to take over Northern Hemisphere countries. With record high temperatures, authorities are concerned on how people in countries with cooler temperatures will take the heat.
The sky is orange in southern Portugal, not just from the hot desert air billowing from the Sahara, but now the angry flames devouring the Algarve's lush forests. This area is normally popular with tourists, but it's 46 degrees, closing in on the country's record high of 47.4 and setting the earth on fire. Temperatures up to the mid-40s are set to stay in Portugal for days to come. People are retreating indoors or heading to the coast.
During the trip we did yesterday, the temperature didn't fall below 43 degrees, completely suffocating. We thought it was going to be a bit better here, but no.
They can't escape the heat in Spain either, where more wildfires have ignited and 3 people have died of heat stroke. Authorities are sending out safety alerts. They're particularly worried about visitors from cooler climates.
I feel very warm. It's incredible these days. Yesterday was unbelievable.
France has shut down 4 nuclear reactors over fears the river water used to cool the plants could overheat and cause mass fish deaths. In the Netherlands, roads have had to close because the asphalt was melting. Europe's animals are suffering too. In Italy and Belgium, zookeepers are dishing out popsicles and frozen fruit. And plenty of water has been essential for all as Europe sweats through a potentially historic heatwave.
New Zealand is taking precautions in protecting bees and their hives. The honey industry is a $5 billion industry and is a key contributor to the country's agriculture sector.
John Burnett has been a beekeeper for over 30 years. It's a job and hobby he loves.
I'm quite passionate about the environment, and beekeeping was just an extension of that. I love being able to be part of or contributing to the environment. Pollination, of course, is critical.
but he says things have become tougher in recent years.
In the beginning, it was very, very easy. You just plonked a hive at the bottom of your garden and let them look after themselves.
He says Varroa mite invasion changed beekeeping completely, and if anything similar was to come to our shores, it would be disastrous. Now those in the bigger beehive are telling the country's 8,000 beekeepers to complete a survey to ensure that doesn't happen.
And then we can equip the beekeepers and everyone else to deal with disease and other challenges that they have.
As well as being a $5 billion industry in New Zealand, it's predicted around a third of our food is dependent on bees.
We're very dependent on the bees pollinating those crops.
We've got to be in a better position to help them to manage an industry that has seen strong growth, has got greater value, potential, but we need to manage it properly.
The government says it's vital to monitor bee numbers.
If we find something, we can actually act on it.
Population loss has been an issue overseas.
We've had under 10% colony loss, and when you look at other countries, including the Northern Hemisphere, the US, they're all around 30 to 40%.
The more we understand where and why we're losing colonies, the more we can look at our husbandry practices with bees, our beekeeping practices, and make sure that we're doing the best for the bees.
Information from the survey will also go into an international database to monitor bee stocks worldwide. Results are expected in the next couple of months.
To the US now, and Melania Trump has come out and supported LeBron James's charity work. This comes after Trump tweeted questioning the US basketball star's intelligence after an interview with CNN anchor Don Lemon.
President Trump hitting the campaign trail in Columbus tonight, but before leaving, tweeting an insult at Ohio's favorite native son. LeBron James was just interviewed by the dumbest man on television, Don Lemon. He made LeBron look smart, which isn't easy to do. The president added, "I like Mike," an apparent reference to Michael Jordan. Earlier this week, LeBron James spoke with CNN's Don Lemon about a school for at-risk kids he's opening in his hometown of Akron. In the interview, James accused the president of using sports to drive people apart.
He's kind of used sport to kind of divide us, and that's something that I can't relate to. Sports has never been something that divides people. It's always been something that brings someone together.
During the Trump presidency, no NBA championship team has celebrated at the White House. This year, the president said James Cavaliers and Steph Curry's Golden State Warriors weren't even asked.
I didn't invite him. No, I didn't invite LeBron James, and I didn't invite Steph Curry.
The president also rescinded an invitation to the Warriors in 2017 after Curry said this.
I don't want to go. That's really good.
At the time, James himself took to Twitter, calling the president a, quote, bum.
The number one job in America, the point of person, is someone who doesn't understand the people and really don't give a about the people.
At a Trump rally in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio, there were signs in support of LeBron James, like this.
Even though LeBron is a Hillary fan, I feel like the president would still want LeBron on his side to rally with the voters.
Others seem conflicted.
But I do think LeBron James should probably keep his personal opinions to himself.
The game's all-time greatest.
Oh, what a move by Jordan!
Seeming to side with basketball's current king. Jordan saying in a statement, quote, "I support LJ. He's doing an amazing job for his community." Tonight, Melania Trump also speaking out. Her communications director issuing a statement praising James, saying, quote, "It looks like LeBron James is working to do good things on behalf of our next generation, and that the First Lady, quote, would be open to visiting the I Promise school in Akron."
You're with National EMTV News. Stick around. Trukai Sports is coming up next.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Defence Rugby Union Club are the champions after beating Royals in the elite division for the NCD Rugby Union competition. The match, played in Port Moresby, was described as a battle between the police and the armed forces. It attracted senior members of both disciplinary forces who showed up not in their disciplinary uniforms but dressed up as fans. Though losing the match 13 points to 10, Royals were proud to be back in the competition after a decade.
It was the match all players, supporters and sponsors were looking forward to. The defense team showed up with army-colored jerseys representing the color of their uniform, while the Royals took the field in red and blue jerseys, a symbol of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. 10 minutes into the match and the first penalty was awarded to Royals, allowing them the chance to collect the first 3 points of the game after a successful penalty kick. Defence was trailing at 3-0 at 15 minutes into the first half, but they returned with continuous attacks until they broke Royals' wall of defence and scored, collecting 8 points after a successful conversion. In the second half, more penalties were awarded to both teams after missed tackles and minor errors, but it was defence who was successful in their penalty kicks, winning the match 13-10 at full time. The support by fans from both sides were outstanding, creating an atmosphere of excitement, anxiety and pride for both teams coming this far. And while it was the defence who won the 2018 championships, it was Royal to prove that after more than 10 years of suspension, they are still a force to be reckoned with. Teklagunga, National NCD Sports.
The Papua New Guinea Under-19 national team will open their OFC Championship campaign against qualifier winners Tonga. Coach Harrison Kamake spent the season coaching Bester PNG United in the National Soccer League competition, which is the development squad team from which most of these players have come. Although there's a number who play outside this team, Kamake says club rivalries stay off the pitch when they come together for national duties. SPPNG Hunters versatile back Adex Wera becomes the first Hunters player to score 50 tries. Wera scored his 50th try last week in their match against the Burleigh Bears.
Adex Wera joined the team in 2014 and has been loyal to the club since then. Wera scored his 50th try in the 79th minute of the game last weekend against the Burleigh Bears, running 60 meters to score and create history as the first player to score 50 tries for the club. In a notable period for the club, Wera was not the only player to celebrate a key milestone in recent weeks, with skipper Asep Boss beating former leader Noel Zemming to be the top point scorer for the Hunters with 449 points. Fittingly, the club makes sure everyone is aware of the achievements of the playing group and acknowledges the milestones accordingly. They're currently taking on the South Logan Magpies in what is another must-win match for the team. Elijah Levet, National NCD Sports.
The 2018 BSP National Snooker titles will be held from September 4th to the 16th in Port Moresby. Acting President of Papua New Guinea Billiards and Snooker Association, John Chan, said the women's national snooker titles will also be held during this time. The women's titles will start on Tuesday, September 4th, ending with the final on Sunday, September 9th, while the men's national titles queue off on Tuesday, the 11th, with the final on the 16th. 32 players will participate in the women's competition, while more than 40 are expected to compete in the men's. Trukai Sports continues with more after these messages. Stick around.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To Super Rugby, and the Crusaders defended their title for the 9th time. They beat the Lions 37-18.
The Crusaders once again the kings of Super Rugby, soaking up the accolades of a record 9th title. Almost more anticipated than the match itself was Scott Robertson's own razzle-dazzle. And his Crusaders side also lived up to the pre-match hype.
Seta Tamani Valu.
Richie Mo'unga was again in the driver's seat, slotting 17 points, along with making this searing break, which led to his side's second try.
Try coming.
Man of the match Mo'unga, perhaps closer to getting the keys to the black number 10 jersey.
Beat about 20 defenders. He kicked majority of his goals. He was tough on defence, and he's behind a Rolls-Royce pack.
A subtle prod at the All Blacks coach perhaps. As for the Lions, try as they might, they couldn't halt the relentless Crusaders' attack.
Under the post.
And not even a late yellow card to Ryan Crotty was going to deny the defending champs back-to-back titles as celebrations began early. Having led his side to double glory, Sam Whitelock reflected on the near misses.
Spent so long trying to win one, and then finally to win one, I knew how hard it was.
So he can understand how the Lions skipper feels after losing 3 in a row.
We're getting closer. Yeah. Oh, it's tough, man. Oh, it's tough.
But Robertson just can't get enough.
Gotta live the moment. You don't know when it's going to come again.
Probably next year. In the meantime, the party will continue with the official public victory parade tomorrow.
And finally to the NRL, and the New Zealand Warriors have beaten the Dragons for the first time in 20 years. The final score, 18-12.
Up against a team they don't usually beat and on a ground where they've only won once, this was the Warriors' final exclamation mark. Adam Blair back from suspension and making his tackles count. Those big hits and big wins now vital for the Warriors as they cling on to their finals hopes.
For the boys to, defend the way they did and, to find a way to come out on top, it was just I was just really, really pleased.
The Warriors' scramble defence saving them in what was a second half scare. The Dragons scoring 12 unanswered points, but the Kiwi franchise made sure there was no repeat of last week's Gold Coast disaster.
Another good legs tackle.
The victory putting them 4 points clear of 9th place.
And now with 4 rounds to go, you're in the finals.
Are we?
Oh, you'd be close.
Okay, yeah, well, you never take anything for granted in this comp. Everything's so close.
And so was the match-up between the North Queensland Cowboys and Sydney Roosters.
Ball came loose and it opened up for Turnbull. Here goes a human bulldozer.
Former Kiwi star Jason Domalolo helping the Cowboys take a brief lead before the Roosters stretched out to an 18-point buffer. But Jonathan Thurston sparked a late Cowboys comeback. The Cowboys lifting themselves off the canvas to give the Roosters a big fright, but those heroics wouldn't be enough to save the visitors, falling agonisingly short.
It's been the story of our season. We just haven't been able to ice the game.
That match marking the end of an era, with legendary Queensland halves pairing Cooper Cronk and Thurston playing against one another for the very last time.
And that story wraps up True Kai Sports for tonight. Stick around, we've got the weather for the next 24 hours coming up next.
Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And looking at the weather forecast for this next 24 hours, showers in Port Moresby, fine and windy in Daru, mostly fine in Alatau, and showers can be expected in Kerama and Popaneta. In the Mamase region, cloudy for Lei Wau, a shower or two for Medang, shower or two for Wewak, and a few showers also for Vanimo. To the NGI region, we've got rain showers in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopurabao, Kimbe, and Buka. To the Highlands region, fine then fog in Mount Hagen, showers then fog in Goroka, Kundiao, and Mendi, and same forecast for Wabag. Forecast for small ships, there is renewal strong wind warning for all coastal waters. Strong southeast winds of 25 to 34 knots are expected to continue for the next 24 hours, causing rough seas. All small craft and boats are advised to take necessary precautions before and after going out to sea during this period.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Finally tonight, MTV will soon be airing a series of documentaries featuring our 22 provinces to celebrate the country's 43rd independence. MTV News has been traveling around the country courtesy of PNG Air to bring you these stories. On our travels, we also spoke to passengers about where they were traveling. Recently, our crew visited Eastern Highlands Province and caught up with Boyo Nalahia in Goroka.
Port Moresby to Goroka on PNG Air ATR will take you almost an hour. Returning to Port Moresby, we caught up with Boyo Nalahia and her 3-month-old son Nimrod.
When we have church activities out at Hagen or Mendi, we normally fly to Goroka because most of our church members, they are located here. So whenever that we are here, they are always here to take us home, yes.
Boyo says she chooses to fly with PNG Air because it's the cheapest option.
Sometimes I fly with PNG Airlines, but most of the time, I choose that, whatever that I have, if I cannot afford to pay on the Air New Guinea, then I just, choose airlines here.
PNG Air ATR 72-600 was introduced in 2015 for the domestic sector. Boyo added that the onboard experience is different with PNG Air.
Well, there's difference between the Air New Guinea. When we are on board, we are just having a cup of hot coffee or hot tea.
Adelaide Sirkskari National, MTV News.
And our Independence Special will start airing on the 25th of this month. You want to stick around and stay tuned for that coming your way. Now, on behalf of the news team, I'm Neville Choi. Pleasant viewing for the rest of the evening. Good night.